Yeah,
Hi.
I mean, hi. Hello.
Yeah. Hi, this is Shashikant here. How about you?
Hi, Shashikant. How are you? Colonel Kamble here.
Yeah, hi. Hello, sir.
Thanks for letting me in.
Okay. My pleasure. Just a minute. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me check how many people are still.
It's a very good topic today.
Yeah.
In fact, he had sent in our group back. I couldn't see that.
And it is relevant
Hi,
to
Sudhir.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Here is Sudhir.
Good evening.
Hello,
Hi.
good
Hi,
evening.
Dr. Sudhir.
Hello. Hi, Yogesh, Kiran, and Shashikant.
Hi, Dr. Sudhir. Shashikant here.
Hello, Shashikant. Hi, I can hear you.
Hi. How are you?
Hi, Sudhir. Colonel Kamble here. Your batchmate.
Hello, Colonel. Hello, Colonel, sir. Yes.
Hi, Yogesh.
Good evening.
Good evening, Yogesh.
Am I audible? Yeah, good
Yes.
evening. Good evening.
You are audible. Yeah.
Good evening, all. Hi, Dr. Sudhir. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks. You can call me just Sudhir. We are just, brothers of the
You have
same
to call you
family.
Sudhir only. Yes. I know. I heard your speech that day. I am very impressed by that. Your lecture that day. Is a bonus for me today.
Yeah, I just thought, I think just a very brief note. Today we heard about suicide of one Indian actor.
Yeah.
So it is really important that we really handle our life ourselves. So that will be the topic.
Absolutely.
Okay,
it is relevant.
okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
I understand. Just to give a brief, Dr. Sudhir and others who have joined. Generally, these Zoom sessions gets rebooted after 40 minutes or so. So people are requested to rejoin. These are some of the information I would like to share. Again, generally, other than speakers, others are requested to keep the phone on mute. And you are keeping your videos on. See that there is enough light on your face, so visible clearly. And for some reason, if you are not able to hear properly, so there will be audible things that you will be able to hear the presentation very clearly. And nothing more. Maybe we'll wait for 2-3 minutes more and then start the introduction of Dr. Sudhir. In the meantime, people will be joining. And let's say at 5:35, the session will kick off. And obviously, the recording has been done by Dr. Shashikant, who is the host for this session. So that's a small brief. Let's wait for a while or so.
मला मी थोडंसं कन्फ्युज झालो योगेश की डॉक्टर शशिकांत म्हणल्यानंतर म्हणलं आता डॉक्टर कधी झालो
in place of doctor session.
Right. Great.
सुधीरने काय ऑडिओ बंद केलाय का? हाय सुधीर, त्याने ऑडिओ बंद केलाय. सुधीर, किरण पाटील here.
Yes, hi Kiran. Hi.
Yeah.
Hello everyone. Yeah.
After 40 years.
Sure.
गुड इव्हनिंग पाटील सर. काय म्हणताय? मजेत बोला. काय म्हणताय? गुड. काय चाललंय? काहीतरी करत बसायचं.
जम्बो बॅच जोरदार असणार. जम्बो बॅच जोरात असणार.
हो काय ते बॅच स्पिरिट पाहिजेच ना रे.
हो पाहिजे.
आणि कसं की काहीतरी म्हणजे चांगलं ऐकायला मिळतंय. आज ती म्हणजे चुकून ती घटना घडली आहे सुशांत राजपूतची. ओके. आणि त्याला रिलेव्हंट टॉपिक आहे. तो people should like listen to the topic. बूस्ट होण्यासाठी. गुड इव्हनिंग साठे सर. गुड इव्हनिंग सर. कर्नल साठे सर.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you,
Good evening,
sir?
I didn't know you. Yeah, I'm fine. I didn't know you are seeing me.
We can't see you, but then we can see your presence because your video is not on.
Yeah. What do I?
Right.
आता झालाय का?
एकच मिनिट सर. नाही अजून तुमचा व्हिडिओ नाही चालू पण ठीक आहे तुमचा आवाज येतो. हो बंदच राहू द्या काय हरकत नाही.
कामाच्या लोकांना बोलू दे.
राईट.
स्वित्झर्लंड म्हटल्यावर रिस्पॉन्स जास्त आहे.
हा
स्वित्झर्लंड म्हटल्यानंतर रिस्पॉन्स जास्त दिसतोय.
येईल वाढत जाईल आता.
नाही टॉपिक चांगला आहे.
स्वित्झर्लंड आणि हनीमून डेस्टिनेशन.
Yes.
हाय सुधीर.
Hello. Hi. हा दीपक सर.
तुला या सेशन मध्ये हेच आठवतंय काय?
Nice to see you.
तेच आठवणार की.
माझा आवाज व्यवस्थित येतो, स्पष्ट येतो?
येस. काय तिकडे स्वित्झर्लंडला का सिंगापूरला जिथे तुम्ही असाल तिथे बहुतेक नेटवर्क चांगला असणार आहे.
हा नेटवर्कची कनेक्टिव्हिटी स्पीड इज गुड.
राईट. इंडियात तसं नाहीये अजून त्यामुळे ते योगेशचा आवाज मधून दाबल्यासारखा गळा दाबल्यासारखा येतो कधी.
माझाच गळा दाबायचं.
People should close their video so that we save the bandwidth for good transmission.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Okay. Done.
Chalo. Anyway, it's 5:32. Dear Ajinkyans, I'll have a small introduction of Dr. Sudhir Bansod. Anyway, Dr. Sudhir Bansod, doctor by profession, major in dermatology and obviously in research. He's an Ajinkyan of 1982 batch, and I would still prefer any of the 1982 batch can introduce him more better than me, and then we kick off the session. If anyone is willing to, maybe Ganesh Nirmal sir or anyone who can introduce him for 2 or 3 minutes, I would be more happy.
व्हिडिओ बंद करणे खाली.
तुझं कोणी बॅचमेट नाही आले रे.
Ganesh Nirmal sir is
Patil आहे, Kamma आहे.
Akhil
Oh,
Kenil
I'm
Patil.
there. We'll happily say a few words
Ganesh,
about Dr. Bansod
Yeah,
if
maybe
you want.
Ganesh sir, you can introduce him, Sudhir, and then we can kickstart the session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sudhir is one of the jumbo batch of class of 1982. As far as my recollection is, he is what we call one of the old boys who joined in 5th standard rather than 6th standard. After leaving school, he did his MBBS at Government Medical College, Nagpur. And in those days, there were only a very small handful of medical colleges. So for someone to go and study medicine, it was a big honor. Sudhir, after that, he studied, as you pointed out, dermatology. He has an MD. And for the last, I think almost now 25, 30 years or even more, he has been living in Switzerland. So Sudhir, did I mistake anything?
No, it's all okay. I'm in Switzerland since 23 years, but that's fine. It's a long time. That's the point.
It's a long time. And Sudhir is originally he was always in Nagpur party. Early on he was from Akola, then for several years he was from Amravati, but now he is kind of from Nagpur where the rest of the family is. So he is from I'm proud to say my part of the world.
Yeah, he's from Europe party now.
Yes.
So I think Sudhir sir, you can start now.
Yeah. Please give me permission to share my screen because I have some slides.
Just a minute, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I am trying. Yes. All right. I guess.
Yeah, it is visible now.
Okay, but I'm not seeing. Okay, I'm seeing my slides now. Yes. Okay, I will actually try to go into the presentation mode. Yes. So it's a presentation mode. I guess you can see my slides.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very
good. Okay. So I actually, one of my friends, he is Dean of Medical College in Tamil Nadu. So he said he knew that I am interested in spirituality, meditation, and so on. So he asked me to give a presentation. So I gave that presentation on last Tuesday. And I think Yogesh sir was there or someone joined, and they said, why not actually share these thoughts and vision or perspective to Sainik School community as well. I said, yeah, it's a good idea. And it really befits today. Essentially, just a couple of hours, one of the good, I think, actor Rajput, Sushant, some name, he committed suicide. Now, he was such a successful actor in that film, PK, and he commits suicide. So we have to really go into the depth of this and try to see what is happening, why he killed himself. And that is the topic of mind-body medicine. So that actually mind, whatever is going on in the mind affects the body, and people have to take care of this as a whole. So that's the point. So it is very befitting today for today's occasion, in a way, a very bad occasion, sad occasion that Sushant, and we can maybe stay 10 minutes, 10 seconds silence for that soul. So we from Sainik School fraternity, we would wish Sushant's soul to rest in peace and his onward journey. Okay, so the subtitle of the presentation is Harmony of Body, Mind, Emotions, and the Beyond. So that is, I will try to have my pointer. I forget that several times. Yeah, now I have the laser pointer. So, right. So, I think we are living, we know, we are living, we are alive. And it is possible some of you have actually joined certain meditation groups or following some guru or associated with some movement. I know a couple of people. So for me to introduce myself, I have been meditating with Osho Rajneesh. So after I finished my MBBS in Nagpur, I moved to Pune to do my post-graduation only because Osho was in Pune. There is a echo. I think you want to mute your microphones unless you are talking. Yeah. Right. So now we all know, so people are associated with some spiritual movement. Some may be interested in Osho, Sri Ravi Shankar, or Sadguru Jaggi Vasudev, Brahma Kumari, and so on. So we do not have to go into those. So I do not actually ask someone to join a particular group. So you may want to join a particular group to learn something, or you do not join any groups. That's all okay. But we need to explore what our life is. We are somehow, most of us are more than 40, some are more than 50. Our 82 batch is more than 55. So it's quite a big age. And we have to take stock of what we have lived up to now, what we want to achieve in life. And are we understanding life? Everybody thinks that someone who is alive actually understands his life, but it's not that. Now, any question in life, whenever I want to, any issue in life, anything, it could be profession, it could be family life, it could be anything. I somehow tend to ask these 6 questions: who, what, when, where, why, how. So that is an acronym for my inquiry into any issue. Or just to keep it in mind, who did what, when, where, why, and how last summer. Particularly in Europe, summer is a somehow vacation time, and and since we are all batchmates, some affairs happen in summertime. People go on holidays, they meet someone, So it's a good acronym: who did what, when, where, why, how, and how last summer. Out of these 6 sort of parameters, I think we know these 4 parameters. Who, we know it's us. What, we know we are living life. When, where we are living right now. And where somebody is in India, somebody is in Europe. Wonderful. So we know these 4 aspects. Then there are 2 aspects which are remaining. One is the why of life. Then these questions arise. Why this life? And I have inquired those things. If you really inquire that into the question of why, it's very difficult question, because why the tree is green? So you say, well, there is chlorophyll in green, but why chlorophyll exists? And then you are stuck. So the question of why goes into ad infinitum logic. You can never stop with the question of why. Again, that is the realm of philosophy, that is the realm of religion, or even astrology. In astrology, my wife is very much interested. She's just eating food there. She is interested in astrology. And these are all realms. In astrology, they ask that why this is happening and why that is not happening, and so on. I am not going to touch that aspect of life today here. Why? So that, of course, I can talk at some other time, but today we will not go into that. So that is sort of out of the remit of today's discussion. Please feel free to write your questions in the chat box. And I think Yogesh sir is a moderator. He can just stop me anytime and just ask that question, because it's a bit difficult for me to see the chat box right now. Then today's discussion, let us see how can we live life. And we think we know life, but we actually do not know the various parameters of life in general. Because if people knew how to live life, we would not have such a mess that is going on in the world. We have in United States, there is this racism on the front just today, these last few weeks. We have wars going on. There is not a single time in human history when there was no war between two countries, and so on. So we humans as a whole, we do not know how to live. Yes. Yes. Someone was saying hello. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I would proceed ahead. And Yogesh sir or the moderator, please feel free to interrupt me anytime. Yeah. Because essentially I'm speaking to my computer and the slides. I do not see anyone. So. Right. So that is mind-body medicine. And I would say that everyone must explore their life. If one is not exploring one's life, I think we are living just a few percentage of what our has to offer. That is the remit of mind-body medicine. Now, body, the lower level is mind, thoughts, and then we have emotions, and then we have a little bit deeper is mood. So all these four parameters, I think we all know. But I do not know if most of us, and some of us may know. I do not underestimate anyone's understanding of life or understanding of spirituality. I do not underestimate at all. Some of us may know, some of us may know something more than what I know. So that is absolutely fine. The last thing is called as presence. And that is what I'm going to elaborate today additionally. So we have that physical body is there. That is what I consider as I, Sudhir. And there is an identification given as Sudhir. Somebody could have called it Sachin. For example, if my parents would have given the name Sachin, then I would have called myself Sachin. So that my identification with the name Sudhir is actually a false entity. Actually, is not existentially real. It is human life real, but it's not existentially real. It's possible some of us are getting new concepts, but try to bear with me. Then the next is mind. So mind, we think we know that we are thinking and that is the mind. It's not like this. There are several aspects of mind. One is the intellectual capability. Somebody is an engineer, somebody is a military officer, somebody is a doctor, somebody is a driver, somebody is a tailor. And this is all intellectual capability, thinking from the frontal cortex. Then we have certain other area, which is thoughts. We think thoughts is the mind. The mind is something more. Then we have desires in our mind. Then we have comparison in our mind. Then we have power trips in our mind. Then we have biases. Then we have certain conditioning in our mind. So these are all parts of the mind. So mind, actually in spiritual life, they have said there are 7 layers of the mind. What we perceive is just the first upper conscious mind. And there are several layers to that. But we will not go into that detail. Obviously, then we have emotions and mood. In medical terminology, they call it limbic system. And it regulates autonomic function. So usually we have autonomic system, which regulates the emotions and mood. There is another, there may be some medical people in the who are listening right now. I do not want to go into the science which affects our emotions. And the body as well. For example, it's very paradigm of mind-body medicine, that mind affects the body. I want to expand it a little bit further, that it is not only the mind that is affecting the body, it is emotions and mood that is affecting the mind and the body. And there is something else within us. We have actually not explored that. There is a certain sense of I within us, that I. So I can call it ego, I can call it pride. Essentially, that is being apart from this whole existence. That is what I is. And today, in later parts of the slide, I would actually try to advocate that there is a certain sense of non-I within us. That I can describe in a couple of words, that it is the perceiver of all experience of life. We can call it a certain consciousness within us. We can call it that it is a certain presence within us. So that is that non-I within us. So we always touch the I within me, but we do not touch the non-I presence within me. And that is where I think I advocate that we are living our life only half. Maybe to some of colleagues, it is a little bit new concept, but try to get that within us, there is a certain sense of I. And if you go in that, a certain silence, then there is a certain sense of non-I. And this non-I actually gives a certain contentment, certain fulfillment. I will go to the next slide. Maybe we finish the slides a little earlier so people have time for questions, and I would try to give answer. And even someone else may try to add to that answer. That is perfectly welcome, because this is not my webinar. This is our webinar. And this is where I jump from the I to the non-I. So it is us. Now, just go one slide. Does mind emotions affect the body? Somebody's asking a question? Yeah.
Some people they do it like say by mistake. Okay, their microphone gets unmuted.
Okay. So I think people are advised to keep their microphone muted if they are not talking or asking a question. Yeah, I think this is Liaquat.
Yes.
Liaquat.
I have muted it. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shashikant sir. I call everyone sir because somebody should not get offended. And so either we go to the rule, I call everybody sir. That's fine. Yeah, and I think that's a good strategy. So does mind emotions affect the body? Just a very small science. I mean, I have actually sometimes when I give such a lecture in mind body conference, mind body medicine conference, then I go totally into the science of it. Here just one slide. So mind stress releases norepinephrine. We know that norepinephrine is something like adrenaline. It constricts blood vessels and it increases blood pressure and heart rate. One sees a beautiful woman, or a woman might see a handsome man, and then there would be increase in blood pressure, heart rate. So we know that. Or somebody is giving a presentation to a large gathering, and if that person is not confident enough, that person will have increase in blood pressure, heart rate. So mind emotions does affect the body. That is what we want to know from the science point of view today. On the other hand, the body also affects mind and emotions. So if one does body exercise, if one does marathon, and we all did that in our training school days, there is a certain release of endorphins. Endorphins are some chemicals, neurotransmitters in our brain, and that gives a certain feeling of well-being. So body does affect mind and emotion. So it is all connected. Body, mind, emotions, mood, everything is all connected. And a mind can have negative body effects, mind can have positive body effects, and vice versa as well. I will go to the next slide. Now let us see what is this sense of I within us. Again, I'm not going to the philosophy. I'm just going to the simple rational approach of what is this I within me. So when I discovered within myself that what is this I that I considered, and it is my identification essentially. So I actually, and it is just a very, it is quite a good coincidence that I, the first letter, stands as the first letter of identification. So essentially I stands for identification. And that identification, and I will show it on the next slide again, is with nationality, is with religion, and further subdivisions. So again, the religion, there could be caste, there could be Protestants, Catholics in Christianity, various castes in Hinduism, and so on. So that is where a person identifies. A person identifies with a nation, a person identifies with a religion, a person identifies with certain castes, a person identifies themselves as a doctor, as an engineer, as a military officer. Essentially, that is just your profession. That is not you. So Sudhir is not a doctor. I mean, I don't identify that Sudhir is a doctor. I identify that Sudhir's profession is a doctor. So there is a slight difference to it. Then we identify with our house, our flat, our money, and so on. So that is essentially an identification. Now, just a small, small joke there somehow. A rich man actually loses a lot in his or her death. A poor man loses very less in her death, right? A rich man has a lot of money and we have to keep the money here, and the rich man dies. So rich man loses a lot in the death. So therefore, essentially we need to see, people ask, what is life after death? And I sometimes say that actually you should focus on what is life before death. Try to focus on life rather than thinking what will happen after death. So then another identification is relationships. Relationships in family, friends, and enemies. Again, a person has a more attachment to the enemy than a friend. It is very surprising psychological truth, but it is the truth. So somehow an enemy occupies more of our mind and heart and causes sometimes sleepless nights than a friend. Yeah. Then we are identified with our gender role. Somebody is a male, somebody is a female. Again, that is our body, but people identify with that kind of gender role. And after that, there is a certain body, mind, emotions, mood. This is, and that is the I. So I is essentially all this identification. And if you go into your silence, or if you try to do meditation, and there are certain techniques, and I don't care which guru, which authentic guru. There are in India, 99% of gurus are actually false. They are either interested in money, power, or sex. So these are three things many false gurus are interested. So my fire test for any guru is that, look, I go to that guru and I say, look, you will not ask me unnecessary money. You can charge for your course fees, whatever is rational and reasonable. That's fine. You will not ask me for unnecessary money. Second, you will not enjoy power over me. So you will not ask me to touch your feet. That's the second fire test. And third, I say there is no sexual exploitation, in the sense you will not touch my wife. Yeah. So just to make it short, you will not take my money, you will not ask me to touch your feet, and you will not touch my wife. If these three fire tests a guru, so-called guru in India or anywhere else, fulfills, I can consider him sort of authentic guru. So this is all the identification. There are various meditation techniques to go beyond this identification. Again, we have to go only psychologically beyond this identification. Practically, we have to stay with that identification. Practically. On a practical level, of course, we will be a male or a female. We will have relationships. We can have to keep that relationships in a nice way. We have to keep our money, bank account, property, profession, everything. Even nationality, you will have to carry your passport when you are traveling. So I have a Swiss passport. So of course I am a Swiss, but I'm not psychologically identified to that. So the I stands for identification, which is a psychological identification. And that is causing amness. I am. So amness is more a psychological identification, and isness is more a existential reality. So the whole journey of fulfillment, contentment, and that is in relation to mind-body medicine, it is from amness to isness. Next slide actually graphically represents that very well. That is the psychological identification, and various spiritual explorers or spiritual so-called people who went into themselves, they found out that it is psychological identification that is the root cause of misery, discontentment, somehow a turmoil within us. So again, going from outer circles, we have the nationality, certain beliefs, religious beliefs, caste beliefs, our identification with property, money, job. So that is one outer layer. Then comes, and again, this is just a physical layer. It is essentially a dead layer. Then there is an alive layer, which is relationships, family, friends, enemies. Again, we are identified with that. Then we are identified with certain gender roles. I mean, somebody can be a man, somebody can be a woman. Again, it's a gender role. People identify themselves with LGBTQ community, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and Q is sort of unknown or varied gender interests. Again, that's a gender role. That's not that person. If some person is a lesbian or some person is a homosexual, that is their sexual orientation, but that is not him. There is a difference between that. But most of the people in mainstream people identify themselves either as a man or a woman. So these are two standard sort of gender role identifications. And then there is, I just put this a very smiling child there. That is the sense of I. And then this sense of I is actually, if you go outwards, if a person identifies with the gender relationships and all those non-material, all those material things, then that is extroversion. So that is what extroversion is. This is extroversion. Yeah. Now, all our lives, we are living in that extroversion attitude. And that is the psychological identification. And that is the root cause of misery. That is the root cause of non-fulfillment. That is the root cause of non-contentment at heart. This, I'm not advocating. Essentially, this everyone has to look for themselves. Maybe you do not agree with this. You have different perspectives. So we can take that at the question and answer session. So essentially, if a person wants to feel fulfilled, feel a certain contentment, and that again actually loops back to mind-body medicine, which is the central point of theme of our discussion today. We need to have a certain introversion. So we need to psychologically disidentify with these things, psychologically disidentify with relationships. Practically, we have to keep them. Psychologically disidentify with gender roles. And then we go to a certain transition, which is from the I to the non-I. I'll go to the next slide now. Oh, okay, it's stuck. Okay, it's going. Yeah. Now, you know, in previous centuries or previously, people thought that you either live in this material world of psychological identification, of nationality, religion, property, money, relationship, and this they called sansar. So that is what they called as the outer world, or that is the outer world. And then people thought that we have to leave this outer world, and then they went to Himalayas for some meditation and took sannyas and all this. But essentially, you cannot leave the world. You can leave Amaravati, you can leave Switzerland and go to Himalayas, but Himalayas is also a place. It is just a different place where there are no buildings, there are no roads, and there are no houses, but it is a place. So please mute your mic if someone is not talking. Yeah. Now, that is the outer world. And now there is a certain inner world. When I close my eyes, I have a certain body, I have certain thoughts, I have certain emotions, I have a certain mood, and I have a certain presence. Now, presence is a faculty I will elaborate a little bit later on. That is my inner world, just for theoretical purpose. Now, I tend to trust that life is a double-decker. So this is the photograph of a train, very much representative of what life is in a way. That there is a lower deck. Lower deck is the outer world. It is an horizontal base, which actually forms the base of our life. But then on that base, we have to live. And that is our inner world with our body, mind, emotions, mood, and presence. So I would say that one has to live in both the worlds. The previous sannyas was that you leave this outer world and just go into the inner world. And then they went to Himalayas and then they were just begging for their food. That is not a practicality today. Today, we have to just establish our outer world, and that comes into the next slide. Or actually, this slide. Yeah, that is a better one. Then I will go to the previous slide. Now, the outer world is the world of horizontal planning and achievement. Again, I do not call this as life as such. This is just a somehow base of life. See, a person is born, a person has education, they have spouse, they have children, they have a house, he becomes old, dies. And again, I have put this as a dotted line because we do not know. We have to be just very scientific. We do not know. I guess we are still there at the Yogesh sir. We are still on the webinar because 30 minutes are still there. Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah. So again, life is a continuity. We do not know. Maybe we were here in some form before birth. We may be here in some form after birth. So during this phase, we identify with ourselves, with our body, with education, with house, family, relationship, and certain abstractions such as nationality, such as religion. These are just abstract mental concepts in a way. So, and we cannot actually do away with it. We have to go into this. And that is called as horizontal planning or just achievement. We just have to achieve education, family, children, house, and all kinds of things. So that is just the horizontal planning and achievement. What I would like to say is, actually a person lives in each moment. Like you see, these are these smaller lines here and a bigger line. So essentially, we are just living in the moment. Like whatever has happened yesterday is just a memory. And whatever will happen tomorrow is just the imagination. It is not reality. It is just our mental entities. Try to grasp this. And many of you know this already. I'm not giving any gyan or I'm not playing a guru here. This is just a sharing of my heart-to-heart communion with my colleagues and friends. Just a sharing. So essentially, vertical living, that brings relishment, that brings contentment. And you have to live in this moment. For example, I'm speaking with my computer and other people are listening. So I'm enjoying this moment. And it is just this moment, just this talk. There is this last less than a minute. Okay. I think we can sign out and sign in again, maybe.
Yeah, we can rejoin. Yeah.
Okay, we can rejoin.
Yeah.
Okay.